call. Mayor O'Connor.
Here.
Morissette.
Here.
Alms.
Here.
McCormick.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Hoggett.
Here.
Hall.
Do we have any citizen comments? Opportunity for citizens to say something? Anybody? Citizen comments, citizen comments, citizen comments. Hearing none, we'll close that portion of the agenda. Consent agenda?
To approve the regular session meeting minutes of November 21st, 2016. To approve council claims in the amount of $2,725,363.77, and details available in the clerk's office. To authorize the mayor and city administrator to approve any necessary year-end payments that may arise for 2016 budget items and that cannot be delayed until January 9th, 2017. To approve 2017 billing rates for St. Croix EMS as presented. To approve the 2017 St. Croix EMS operating budget as presented. And to approve the certificate of compliance for an auto service repair facility at 1820 Webster Street with the following conditions. No on-street parking permitted on Webster Street. If parking may be leased or land purchased for additional parking, that a parking agreement and/or plans be submitted to the city for review and consideration by the Plan Commission and Common Council, and if storage for tires is necessary, a plan for a fenced-in area with solid wood fencing must be submitted to the Community Development Department for approval. That is all.
Okay,
Move to approve.
Second.
okay, got a motion, second. Roll call?
Alms.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Hoggett.
Yeah.
McCormick.
Yes.
Morissette.
Yes.
Motion's approved. On to new business, discussion and possible action on a denial of operators' licenses.
Finance Committee recommendation was to deny.
Right.
Yes, that's right.
I guess if it's okay, I'd like to ask Mr. Gill a couple more questions before we. So since your last conviction, you had to go through a number of steps and procedures. Can you explain what you've been going through the last couple of years to kind of get to where you are now?
I found out that I have like an anxiety disorder. So not knowing that, unfortunately, in the past, I used alcohol to, so-called treat that, but obviously it doesn't work. So going through DUI, the traumatic experience, because it is, a lot of people don't realize how serious it is until you have it, And I received a lot of education, treatment programs, the Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, so many things that, weren't there when I had my first one. It just helped me realize, the seriousness of that. And I've taken it to heart, and, it's been a couple years now almost, and I'm, a different person now, changed, much more responsible. And also, my career, my choice of career, service industry is actually, it's quite a good field for, making a good living. So I'm successful in that now, and I've received a lot of help. So that's one thing that that's why I'm here. I'm also trying to explain to everyone that I'm not, like this, person that's gonna go and be like, hey, once I get done with my treatment and all this, I'm gonna go drive again and drink and drive. I've learned my lesson, and also I see in my job a lot of people that haven't learned that, and I try to pass that on to them. I took the Wisconsin, that test, the online test you have to go through in order to get the license, and there was a lot of really helpful information in there that I didn't know. So it's been a real good learning experience. Even coming here, I've it's all positive to me in a way. So
I guess my second question then is, if you don't get this currently, you can reapply
I'm
at a
sorry,
future
what?
date. But will you be able to continue to function in your current position, or will this be something that's going to make it difficult to stay on where you're currently at?
not getting a license would make it difficult, because he needs help with employees right now. And if I don't have the license, then when I am working, I would have to be with somebody who can see me that has the license. So it would be a big inconvenience to my employer, and I feel bad because I wasn't aware that this would, I told him before he hired me that I've had, alcohol convictions, and I've learned from it. I'm not doing, I'm not doing that anymore. So yeah, it would cause inconvenience to myself and my employer, and I wouldn't want to cause any inconvenience to anyone, and I'm here to try to show that I'm responsible now, and a little nervous just because I've never really
Well,
done this
yeah, I
before,
would be.
but I was not aware, so I sort of prepared myself, but it's.
So your employer is aware of the convictions and does not have a problem with that in the hiring process?
Yeah, well, yeah, he was okay with it. He said, he would like to give me a chance, and I told him what I've been through, and that I'm willing to do whatever is required, of the law or of him to, do what I have to do to get certified, and because I wasn't aware in Wisconsin of this, so because in Minnesota I've had jobs before where they do a background check and then they look more for the felonies and things like that. And so obviously DUIs are serious. I know that now, but so yeah, that would I'm definitely trying to do the best I can to make the situation better.
And are you still in a 12-step program or a treatment program?
Well, I'm almost at the end of all. I've already gone through all the programs, the treatment program.
So you've completed everything that was required for the recent DUI?
Yes. And there's like a sort of a phone probation once a month you call, and then they just ask you if you've had any trouble with law enforcement or whatever, and that ends in a few months. So it's been 2 years. It'll be in 2 years. A few months it'll be 2 years, and I'll be off of all that. I've gone through everything and successfully. So yeah, I've fulfilled my obligations and then some.
I'll move we deny the request.
Second.
We got a motion second to deny. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No. I'll move that we approve the operator's license for Darren Gill.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion?
It will be through June 30th of 2018. That would be the expiration date.
Okay. Because it's a mid-year thing.
And if there's a problem, what is the process for,
You have to do a revocation proceeding and with notice and hearing and so forth. I'm not sure as we speak if it's the same process for a, regular alcohol license, but at a minimum, it would be notice and hearing.
and then he would be allowed to work in the industry until that revocation proceeding is finished?
Yeah, you don't have any authority to just summarily revoke.
Okay.
You need to make a finding that it was an alcohol-related conviction and affects his ability to serve as a operator.
Okay, anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion's approved.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thank you. And do I? for
It'll
that-
be available probably later tomorrow or Wednesday. You'll be able to pick it up at the clerk's office. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
I would check back Wednesday morning.
Discussion and possible action on color and texture for proposed sound barrier on I-94. Denny?
Evening.
Evening.
First part of November, I was contacted by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation in regards to sound barriers that are proposed on the southwest quadrant of exit 3 and then on the west side of State Trunk Highway 35 from basically I-94 down to Hanley Road. I asked Alderman Bill Alms to join me in a meeting with the DOT to discuss what was proposed. When originally contacted, they told us that we had a choice between color and textures. Then they reversed themselves and said, but we'd have to pay for the color. And then they reversed themselves and said, we have a choice between texture with color, but the colors you choose can only be tan and brown. And they reversed themselves again and said This is all within 1 month, please understand. And then the last correspondence, which was on November 28th, they said that we can choose a texture, we can choose a color, but we're responsible for paying for the staining of the walls, which has a cost estimate of anywhere from $74,000 to $108,000. I told DOT when we first started discussing this, I thought it was unlikely the city would choose to stain the colors because we were notified so late. We'd already established our 2017 budget. So in discussions, and there's some other questions that came up. One was from Tom Zuley, if we stained them now, would that help with maintenance, long-term maintenance? And the maintenance is not the City of Hudson's, maintenance is St. Croix County's because they maintain the I-94 system. But Tom's question was, if we stained them now, would that help maintenance or ongoing maintenance in the future? DOT responded that probably not the case, that the difference between what would be basically a concrete color without stain or stain, right, as far as the general maintenance of the sound barriers would be no different. Second question we ask, can we paint them in the future or stain? And the answer is yes. However, that would be at our cost, and we would not be able to do color under the current contract that the DOT will have to install the sound barriers. So our choice tonight is one texture, in which in the information we sent you, Bill and I are suggesting to go to the natural stone, which is pretty consistent with some of the architectural facades that we have on our water utility buildings. And that's the reason we chose that particular one. If you color it again, if you choose color, then you can paint, you can stain it any colors that you want. However, more stains and so forth, the more costly it is. And again, we have an estimate from 74 to 108,000. It could even be higher depending on how you'd want to have it done. So Bill and I are recommending the natural stone texture. I'm suggesting not to stain because we don't have it in the budget. That's a lot of money, 74 to 108,000. I thought probably the only other way you could rework it into the budgets is take away from another project that might be already approved within our public works, and I think that would be a shame in itself to do that. So my recommendation is not this, but the walls would be textured, but they'd have a concrete gray appearance.
If they're stained, does the stain need to be reapplied every so often? Is there maintenance on the stain?
Well, we didn't. I got the impression that the stain does last quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
So to say it never be required, I think the other side of it is what happens if we have graffiti on the walls. Where they may have to be treated for that too. Where the concrete would be better than a colored stain or not, I don't know, but it's their thing. And when I talked with the county highway commissioner, that would be the county's responsibility.
So this is formed concrete, is that the deal?
They come in panels when delivered. It's a pre-constructed panel with a kind of a noise. It's a little bit different material on the inside, but the outside is a concrete panel.
And they can they add color to the concrete when they make the panel?
Yes, that's one of the advantages of doing it up front, and the reason it'd be probably less expensive to do it up front, because during the manufacturing process, the stain would go into it, and then it'd probably be, so if you're looking at 74 to 108,000 now in the process of constructing the panels, to go out and paint it later, unless we could find a very good contractor that does quality work, it'd most likely even be higher to do it in the future, higher cost.
Well, the recommendation is natural and then,
Natural stone, if you looked in the last picture that was provided to you, there's a picture of a kind of a fuller length wall. That's the texture that we're particularly proposing. Again, it's somewhat similar to what
It's
the
just right here.
architectural facades are in our water treatment facilities down near Hanley Road.
Is that what the posts look like then, too?
The posts are basically a smooth steel material.
Okay, so it's similar to this picture?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll move we approve the recommendation of Denny and Bill's color choices, or not color choices. Texture and design and.
Take it out of my pay.
Don't
I'll
stain.
No stain.
I'll second that.
So Denny, do you ever think of taking this out to bid to see if anybody wanted
Well,
to
that would be our option. One of the things I did talk to the county,
get somebody else to pay for it?
well, I talked to the county highway commissioner about some ways of maybe trying to work something like that out in the future, but I don't want to commit to highway commissioner at this time in regards to that, but he and I talked about some options.
Okay. All right, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thanks, Denny.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action on bids received for replacement squad. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I stated at the finance meeting, we sent out RFPs to 3 of the dealerships, Hudson, Ford, River Valley Ford, and Ewald Ford. Ewald has a state bid requesting replacement for a squad car that was total of $994 back in October. The bids came in, and the lowest bid was from Hudson Ford for $21,990, which my recommendation is to go with that low bid. It should be noted that this low bid is lower than the bid we got for a different squad earlier this year from Hudson Ford, so this is actually a very good bid.
I'll move for approval of the purchase of a squad car from Hudson Ford for $21,990.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion?
As I noted at finance, there are obviously additional charges to get the squad outfitted and everything, and we did receive a check from the insurance company, but it won't quite be enough, so Marty and I will work together and find the additional funds for that.
Okay, anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. The next 2 items have been pulled or postponed. And then we're down to F, discussion possible action on the MS4 agreement for legal services.
Tom Sifko had to leave. He's also having to go somewhere this evening. So if there's any additional questions beyond what was discussed at Finance Committee recommended approval of the contract for legal services for the MS4 project.
So just a little bit of preamble on this, and MS4 is like, well, when a city goes over 10,000 people, the DNR requires us to comply with several things for your stormwater management, and since we're on the St. Croix River, we have probably some extra requirements in terms of phosphorus and other things that go into the river. But from our stormwater utility, we have a set of funds that we've doled out for this year and the following year, and that's where these expenses are coming from. We already have the money, so we're kind of now chunking it out as we go. The first one is this preparing a legal service, or hiring Mr. Kent for legal services to help prepare our ordinances as part of the MS4 program. So this is kind of an ongoing process, and there will be more big-ticket items coming down the road, but currently we have funding in place for many of the things that are coming. So just to give people an idea of what's going on.
And we did receive a grant from the DNR.
And we also got a grant for, what, 73,000?
73, I believe.
Yeah.
Which can be used for legal fees.
Yes, and engineering, which is the next topic, yes.
Yep.
I'll move for approval of contract, actually, it's probably with Mr. Kent's
Yes.
firm, not with
Yeah.
him, Stafford Rosenbaum, up to an amount of $10,000.
That's not what the agreement is. The agreement is an hourly rate with an
Hourly
estimate
rate,
between
yeah.
5,000 and
With his
10,000.
firm, with an, up to $10,000.
Estimate, right.
I'll second that.
Okay, so moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion of possible action on the letter of engagement for MS4 modeling services and report.
Similarly, this is also approved at Finance Committee. It's another step that John just described in the process. This is for the modeling for the MS4 engineering.
Yeah, and the results of this give us a plan to go forward now on how to either fix or improve our current stormwater system that exists in Hudson, that's ponds and other drainage and, how our box culverts run and all that kind of stuff. So it's very important in the process and we have to do it, so. I'm gonna move to approve the amount of $54,000 to go towards the MS4 modeling and report
And that's with the SEH.
with SEH. Sorry, did I not say that? Okay.
Okay?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion of possible action on 2017 EMS contracts with member municipalities.
Do you want me to address that?
Sure.
Every December, the contracts go out to the member or contracting municipalities, which are Village of North Hudson, Town of Hudson, and a portion of the Town of Troy, for EMS services. This year, because of the, possible discontinuance of the city-provided EMS services, we wanted to address that in the contracts, so we're sure that the municipalities know that if that is successful, that the service will discontinue at the point in time that Hudson Hospital takes it over, because our existing contracts had been a rolling 5-year period with continuing service even after a municipality gives notice of termination. So we put that front and center in the contracts that we're sending out. It was discussed at the EMS Commission. And they're aware, we gave them the expected or anticipated date of approximately July 2017. That's at least the timetable that's been set up. The other piece of it is we discussed that upon a sale of the service, if you will, that the intent is to distribute the net sale proceeds minus any, after any debt is paid off, based on each municipality's pro rata contribution averaged over a 10-year period. So they asked that that be put in the contract as well. Thirdly, that their contributions for this year, if this is successful, be prorated to the date of discontinuance. So those 3 things were added to the contracts for this year, and I think there was also a an increase in the.
Approving consent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what you're approving tonight. They're all aware of it. And they'll be bringing the contracts to their boards this month.
Now, with the payment of debt, that includes what the service owes the city, correct, for the ambulances? Okay. 'Cause
I'll move
do you
for-
remember? I'm sorry.
I move to approve the 2017 EMS contracts as discussed by Kathy.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action on bids received for building automation system for 700 First Street building.
As discussed at Finance, this project was approved as part of the 2014 capital project budget. It just hasn't been completed. This will be upgrading the HVA system and building automation system down at the First Street building, the library and police department. The low bid was for DeBarton for $90,635. There's $86,700 bonded for this project, and there's $52,000 remaining from the City Hall project that came in under budget, so the funds will come out of those 2 areas.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. I'm gonna move number 10 up. We're not gonna go into closed session. Discussion of possible action on employee compensation.
Yeah, in finance, we moved to approve, and I'll move to approve now, a one-time bonus for Devin for all of his hard work, functioning as not only the city administrator, but the city clerk, who, that position is responsible for elections, and as everybody knows, it's just went through a presidential election, and it's probably going to be in a couple, 3 more months before we get another person in that chair, so Devin's working hard to make things happen. Thank you, Devin.
Did you state the amount?
Of $13,000.
13.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. I can't think of anything. Anything for future agendas?
I have one. In Public Works, we slugged it out for what, it was like 2 hours on capital, it was more than 2 hours, on capital improvement budgets, and Tom asked a very good question about how does that affect the bond rate, and I kind of thought I knew the answer to that, but the truth is that we're already servicing debt out of our current budget, but these future capital expenditures go towards future budgets and would indeed affect our levy rate down the road. And we have some really big, like parks had $600,000, like, well, yeah, you can't really rubber stamp that. So I guess my point is I kind of like a little better handle on targets for our 5-year capital improvement, because out of the equipment budget in Public Works, so we're looking at like $400,000. Well, I don't know if you can rubber stamp that either. So I know we have to use the capital improvement and other funding sources to help us pay for things because we can't pay for it out of our operating budget, but it would be nice to have some targets that we can kind of, we whittled the park went down to 100,000, but is that what we should have done, or was a target 250,000? So like, to me, it seems like it's that capital improvement thing's great to me, and I wanted to see if we could somehow in the future kind of.
Well, and I think what, Brenda wants to come up or not, but the plan, I believe, would be right after the first of the year. We've been trying to do our capital improvement projects in January, or our budget, so that we're not waiting till May and June, and then our projects are getting delayed. I believe the last time we updated it, when did we update it? 15?
The 5-year was 2013.
Okay.
And so we would be bringing back a 5-year this time. And so we talked either the second meeting in December or the first meeting in January. And it is our intention to bring back 5 years
Okay.
and to show you exactly that,
What its
goes-
impact is and how it affects overall fund. Okay,
And-
that would be great.
Absolutely.
I'd
You
appreciate
remember
that.
in 2012 or 13, the council capped the mill rate at 5 1/4 to include any capital projects plus the operations. So I guess we can take a look at that and see where what you want to do will put us at, whether there would have to be any adjustment to that.
Alternative ways of funding, we want to discuss that, or?
Yes, either next council meeting or the first council meeting in January, we can talk about alternative ways of funding other than just levying debt. But whether that is working it into the operating levy a little bit, increasing that, but we'll look at that, or savings in the general fund.
Okay, that'd be great.
So Brenda and I will work on that, and when she's ready, then we'll either put it on the 19th or the first meeting in January.
Okay. Anything else? Entertain a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, moved and second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And adjourned. Thanks, everybody.